This is a 2013 Ford Edge. To most people, it's a sensible family crossover. But to me, it was a rolling electrical nightmare that I bought for pennies because it kept killing batteries, throwing oxygen sensor codes, and it was filthy, with brake dust that had been on the wheels since the day the car left the lot. Okay, let's talk about the parasitic draw first, because that was the complaint that this person had when they got rid of the car. They said that they would have to jump it off every morning, and then when they go home, they turn the car off, go to bed, wake up the next morning, battery's dead. Gotta jump it off again. So that's usually a telltale sign of parasitic draw, which means something in this car is staying on all the time. So imagine if you just never took the key out of your car, like you just left the car on, not running, but just on, or like you left the radio on, or you left the headlights on all night. It would kill your battery and you would need to jump start it in the morning. So this person would turn the key off, go inside, battery would be dead the next day. So something in this car was staying on all night. They are notoriously hard to find. Sometimes you get lucky. There's a whole method of how to do it, and you can find hundreds of YouTube videos of the procedure. I'm not going to show you that because how I did it was just using common sense and listening to the customer. Typically, you would disconnect the battery, let the car go to sleep, which sounds like a strange thing, but yeah, the car has all these little systems on it that after about 30-45 minutes, the car will actually be off. So you would do that, and then you would take your multimeter and you would put it in series between the negative side of the battery and the negative cable. And then you would read how much current is running through it, because then that would tell you, hey, something is still on, something is still pulling current. And then you go to your little fuse panel, either down here by the kick panel or the one under the hood, and you start pulling fuses and watching your multimeter and seeing that number drop. Once it drops, you realize, hey, I've pulled the fuse to the thing that's being powered. Now I know what that thing is. And then you go and inspect that thing and you try to figure out why it's still staying on. But in my case, when I went to get the car from the person, they had 2 little kids, and they told me that the kids would always spill their drink on this section of the car. They said they took it to a mechanic and the mechanic replaced all of this for them, but the battery would still keep dying. I don't know what that mechanic did, but he did not replace anything on this car. So that was kind of my starting point. I was like, all right, well, if they're spilling something on this section that has all the buttons, like the AC controls, the radio controls, there's a little CD changer right here, little touch screen. I was like, all right, I'm going to start here. I think this is the problem. And I moved the car down to the shop, left the battery hooked up, and I just wanted to see, all right, what did the customer experience? How bad did it take, or how bad did the battery die overnight? How long did it take for it to completely die? I just wanted to see it from the customer's point of view. Instead of doing any tests, let me just replicate what they saw. Car sat in the shop for 4 days, never dropped below 12.2 volts. I got in the car, cranked it up, cranked right up. I was like, all right, well, that's weird. Things don't just fix themselves. So I drove the car from the shop back up here to the driveway. The shop is in the shade, it's a little cool driveway, beating hot sun. Parked the car here, went inside, came out about 10 minutes later, and the hazard lights were on. It's like, hazard lights staying on all night would kill a battery. So I came in here to touch the hazard light button. and I realized that when I touch it, the lights didn't turn off. I kind of had to beat and bang and hit on this center console. Beat and bang on it, lights would turn off, go back inside. 10 minutes later, hazards are back on again. It's like, all right, that has got to be the thing killing this battery. Something in this console. So, no tests needed. I just listened to the customer and I watched what the car did. To go get one of those is either impossible or highly pricey. If you try to go to a dealership and try to buy one of those, forget it. Just go get a new car. So I went to the Junkyard. They had one of these at my local pick and pull, went out there, and I snagged one. This is actually the old one. I've already gone ahead and put the new one in and fixed this. But if you look right here, that little hazard button, it's not actually a physical button that you can push. It's like a kind of like just tap it kind of thing, like your phone screen would be. This one is out of a 2014 Edge, and it has an actual physical button that will kind of go in and out. And so that fixed that problem. I went to the Junkyard and I got this and the little touch screen for $40. The reason I got the little touch screen is because you can sell them on eBay for $150. So not only have I already gotten my money back from buying this at the Junkyard, I've made a little bit of money and I haven't even sold the car yet. So that's the parasitic draw. I listened to what the customer said, I watched what the car did, didn't need any tools, and figured out it was that center console. Let me show you. So here's the center console, and this is the button I was talking about. See how this one, you can actually push it and it will turn the hazards on. So it doesn't stick like that other one. But yeah, I just popped this out, and then this whole thing comes out. The screen actually stays. It's just behind here. I'll show you on this one. There's this circuit board. This thing. Under this plastic cover, there's, well, a little circuit board. And somehow some kind of dirt or muck or something fell down in there and stuck that hazard light button on. So yeah, that's the parasitic draw. Let's move on to the next problem. All right, now let's talk about what happened to the car once I got it running and driving. Once I got rid of the parasitic draw and I was driving it around, check engine light came on. Awesome. So I got my little code scanner, ran the codes, and these are the codes I got. So I got a P2196 and a P2198. Those are both O2 sensor codes. First code is for the first O2 sensor. Second code is for the second O2 sensor. Typically when cars throw O2 sensor codes, what people do is they just go get an O2 sensor and throw it in, which usually fixes it. But if you get both of the sensors throwing a code, the chances of both of those sensors being bad is quite unlikely. So instead what you need to do is wonder, all right, well, what would make an O2 sensor code read rich? Too much fuel. What would make too much fuel go in the engine? And then track that down. Turned out that what's wrong with this one is the purge valve. The gas tank purge valve, it's a valve that like opens and closes when your gas tank overpressurizes because of emissions and yada, yada, yada. They don't want the gas fumes going out into the air. So when the gas fumes in your gas tank build up too much, there's a little valve that just opens and lets those fumes go into the engine. And every once in a while, a little bit of gas fumes into the engine is not too bad. But if the engine is just straight sucking fumes out of the gas tank, then your engine's gonna run too rich. So to fix two O2 sensor codes, all I had to do was replace this. This is the purge valve. So basically what happens is this hose goes all the way back to the gas tank. And when it gets too much pressure and too many gas vapors in it, this little valve will open and suck those vapors down into the engine. Too much gas means rich mixture, which throws O2 sensor codes. So that one, super easy fix. I think it was like 25 bucks at O'Reilly's for that sensor. So on to the next problem. All right, once I got the car to not have a battery dying and could crank up and drive, and then I got the check engine light fixed, no more codes, ran, drive perfectly. I addressed the air conditioning, blowing hot, hot air. And this is the summer in Georgia where it's consistently 95 degrees outside. I had to fix that if I want any chance of selling this car. So first thing I did, I put gauges on it, pulled vacuum, and I noticed it pulled vacuum, but it didn't pull a lot. It didn't get all the way down to 29 inches. So I still just let it pull for 30 minutes, turned the pump off, came back another 30 minutes later, and it held a little bit of vacuum. I was like, all right, well, that's not perfect, but let's try. Let's see what happens. So I started putting refrigerant in it. And like 30 seconds after putting it in it, I heard it hissing. Well, actually, I put it in it, and then I turned the car off. And then I heard a little bit of hissing. I heard hissing coming from way down under the engine bay. And it turns out that somebody else had put a new line on it. But when they did, they didn't mount it to the little mounting bolt hole. And the hose itself had moved over into the pulley of the compressor. So the pulley is just constantly rubbing on that hose, and it rubbed a hole in it and let all the refrigerant out. So all I had to do was replace that hose. And this is the hose. So it starts here, it's one of the high pressure lines, and it goes all the way down and connects to the compressor itself. So way down there, there was a little pinhole in the hose itself. So yeah, put that new hose on it, held perfect vacuum. 29 inches, held it for, I think, 45 minutes. It's like, all right, let me throw the refrigerant in it now and see what happens. I put, what does this say? This needs, how much did it need? I don't know, 19 ounces. So if you don't know, this is going to be all of your air conditioning information. They're pretty much all going to have 134A. This is a 3.5. It needed 19 ounces. And you can measure it with like a little, I use a little kitchen food scale. So yeah, put that in it, blows frigid cold air, frigid cold air. So yeah, this thing is ready to rock. The only thing left to do was make it pretty. And that, ironically, was the hardest thing for me, because I can work on them all day, but detailing a car, no, that ain't my thing. Okay, so this, surprisingly, was the biggest headache, the biggest learning curve, and probably the funnest part of this whole flip. These wheels were disgusting. I'll throw a picture up, but the picture does not do them justice. They were covered in brake dust, and these little like curve ends, caked on brake dust. So I tried, I'm not gonna blast them, I tried one product with heavy scrubbing, it didn't work. I tried another product with heavy scrubbing, it didn't work. Soap, water, pressure washer, brushes, everything. Could not get the brake dust off. I made a video or two, put them on TikTok, put them on YouTube, and a couple of people commented on this stuff. Mad Acid by Mad Detailing Supplies. This is the only stuff that would get that off. I'll drop a link to this in the description. Go get a bottle if you have disgusting wheels. I'll throw up a little clip. You literally just spray it on the wheels, wait 20 seconds, pressure wash it off, and it comes off. It says if it's very, very dirty, do a little bit of light scrubbing to get the remainder off. So that's what I did. And now they're like brand new. So yeah, Mad Acid, thank you. You are bad acid. Yeah, so that cleaned up the wheels, made this car look like $100. And yeah, it's ready to be sold. Another successful flip. So if you like stuff like this and you want to watch the actual process of it, I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about the actual process, how I find the cars, how I buy the cars, how I pick the cars up, how I diagnose the cars. Because on the next video, I already went and bought a 2002 Ford Explorer. Doesn't run, transmission's broke, the shifter lever's broke. So I got a lot of stuff to go through on that one. So yeah, if you want to see cheap $500 cars get flipped for thousands, subscribe, like, bell, follow, everything, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.